Not gonna lie, feeling a bit favored this week. When I looked at the weather forecast for this trip to Greenville, South Carolina, I saw the dark clouds with the lightning bolts coming out, the blue droplets of water, and I have been lucky enough to see rain on these white. It's not something that I wouldn't show up for in the rain. This makes it a little more difficult. This camera is waterproof. However, don't think the mic receiver that's on top of it or the adapter that plugs into my camera is. This is one of those mornings where I'm not exactly sure what to talk about, but I think that's going to be the subject of today's video. Good morning, I'm Brandon Alexander. I'm almost 40, and I spent the last 20 years PhD in tacos, beer, junk food, and literally zero self-control. And as you can see, I'm on the path to walking toward the best version of me that I can be, and I hope to take you with me. Yesterday, I had a comment right with my daily steps update, and I don't know if he's a subscriber or not, but we mentioned catching a glimpse of himself in the full-body mirror and just wondering how things got that way. Man, I can relate. I can absolutely relate. Going to all these different events, they have those full-length mirrors in the hotel rooms, and as I find myself getting ready after going out for my walk, it's something I'll do is I'll take a peek at myself and see where I'm at and how far I've come. And it can be a bit jarring if you pass the mirror so many times and then you finally take a look and see that things appear to be out of control. It's important to know that there's never too late to get started on self-improvement, on getting back to the version of you that you know, the version of you that makes you happy. You know, if you looked in the mirror, you would smile. You'd say, all right, cool, I'm putting the work in. It doesn't happen all at one time. This particular comment was about putting on weight during the pandemic. And I think it's a reality that a lot of people face. They closed the gyms. So if you were a gym goer and that was how you worked out and you didn't figure out a different way to get your workouts in, you might have fallen off the wagon in that respect. It's okay. It is absolutely okay. The most important takeaway is each time you fall down, it's a new opportunity to get back up, get back on the horse and try again. I'm no cowboy by any stretch of the imagination, but I have absolutely fallen off that hypothetical horse. Sometimes it takes me a few seconds to get back up, and sometimes it takes a week, a month, or a year. But in any of those circumstances, I am absolutely willing to get back on the horse and try again and see what happens. I think life is sort of like an arcade game. You know, you're walking through all these obstacles. You got people with knives and weapons that are coming at you, and you're just pressing that button, shooting at them, trying to get them out of your way. Sometimes they get the best of you. And in the arcade world, you've got those quarters to put back in the machine and try again. I think that's a good way to look at life. There will be inevitably times where things are the toughest that they've ever been, and it just feels like there's so many obstacles in your way that you just can't go on. But if you reach deep into your pocket, or maybe even that little pocket that's above the big pocket on your right side, the fifth pocket, sometimes there's a quarter in there to get back up and try again. If you put that quarter into the machine of life and you commit to this time being the time that it will work, and you put the time and effort in, there's no way you can fail. We're just trying things over and over again. None of us are perfect. I'm certainly far from it. But like I talked about in my video with the thumbnail that says pain on it, the pain of staying the same has to be greater than the pain of change. And I promise you, you'll get back on that path. You'll get back to the point where you won't take no for an answer from yourself when it comes time to show up. If you hear my voice right now, might not sound the same as normal. I spent the majority of the week in a convention center. I think either we carried the entire time, or it could be the guy coughing on the plane, or it could have been one of the attendees that just came to the convention because I had to come. I think I ended up a little bit sick. That's one of those obstacles. That's one of those people shooting at you in the arcade game. And the question is, are you going to show up? Did you find the quarter? Are you going to put it in the machine? You're going to set it off to the side? That's the question. It's the question I ask myself each and every morning. Am I willing to go on? Am I willing to continue? Is this a good stopping point? Is this the best version of me that I can be? Or should I carry on and really get there? I've seen people achieve some amazing things, especially in the age of social media when it comes to body composition. I used to think that People were genetically gifted that they didn't have to put the time or work in. But just as I walk right now in the dark, that's the work that we don't see, but it's the most important work. It's the work of a tree growing down once it's planted, the gravitropic nature, setting up its root system so that when it does bust through the soil, it can be strong and grow sometimes to 100, 200, even 300 feet, like the redwoods. A trunk so wide that you can't see around it if you're standing right in front of it. That's the kind of structure we need to have. That's the kind of base we need to form. That's the kind of base that I'm forming right now. Bit of a sniffle. Makes it a little difficult to get out here and do this. Walking and talking and recording, not jumbling my words. It's difficult, but it's necessary. I truly do want to be extremely successful with this YouTube thing. This is part of the work that's required. You have to show up when you're not feeling good. You have to be consistent in order to end up getting suggested on certain videos. You have to just keep recording and feeding the content machine. I understand that now. I understand that I wasn't the most successful at YouTube before because I would post when I felt like it. But I changed my mindset from a feel like it mindset to a get it done no matter what mindset, because I understand no one is coming to save me. When the rent's due, it's due. And there's no feeling like not having the money to pay it. Your mind races and wonders where you're going to live, what you're going to do. If you have kids, it's even worse. Unfortunately, I haven't been in that position for a very long time. But at the same time, I want something different for myself. For the last 20 years, I've also been a low voltage contractor that requires installing TVs, speakers, data cabling, cameras, alarm systems, and I've done it thousands of times over the 20 years. As a matter of fact, in that 20-year stretch, I've hung personally over 10,000 TVs. It's something that I can do with my eyes closed, but I put the time and effort in. The first one that I hung was in Santa Clarita, California, in an apartment I was renting. I was determined to learn. I took some of the last money I had, and I bought a cheap Sanyo TV that was flat panel. It was the best one that I could afford, and their most inexpensive wall mount was a fixed mount. I don't even think they make this style anymore. The amount of holes that I put in the wall, you would not believe it, but it's the amount of holes that I've seen when I come to a customer's house, and they have tried to hang their TV, but they just can't seem to find a stud. Knocked on the wall, put their ear to it. They spoke to the wall. Hey, where's the studs at? Wall didn't talk back. I come in, now I have a method for putting those TVs up. But that first TV took me hours to figure out. I didn't understand it. The amount of holes proved that I didn't understand it. But once I finished, I had a new tool in my tool belt. I could see where the trays were danged. That people wanted a TV that they could hang up on their wall like a picture, and not a big box that sat in an entertainment system. So that's the route I went. I went to ABC school, which is for electricians, and I took the initial exam, passed it, interviewed, passed it. And if you're unfamiliar with union work, you're an apprentice first. So you're learning from the journeyman or the guys on the job that are on their way to journeyman status, which is 5 years in that trade. And one of the things that deterred me from the electrician side was they said, you got to dig ditches for the first year or 2 years. And the pay at the time started at $13 an hour. I had a significant amount of bills for a 20-year-old at the time, so I declined. And I said, all right, well, if the electricians are digging the ditches and running the conduit, who puts the wire inside of the conduit? Let's hit the low voltage guys. So that's what I want to be. Sign me up. And that's how I ended up here. There's different routes. There's different paths. When I was a kid, I used to read Goosebumps books. I don't know how old you are if you're watching this video, but the Goosebumps books had a Choose Your Own Adventure series. It was kind of like the Bandersnatch Black Mirror episode where you could pick what the character did in the show, and that would change the outcome of the episode completely. I had a adventure where I could be an electrician, a union electrician, or I could be a low voltage guy. That's been a gift me because when it comes to the residential side, it's not a need, it's a want. I didn't realize that at the time. I also didn't realize how quickly 5 years goes by. Had I went the electrician route, it is a necessity. When the lights don't work in your house, you have to have them fixed. If your TV doesn't work in your living room, nowadays you just go watch it in your bedroom. No harm, no foul. I get it. I understand because not only 5 years has passed by, but 20 years has passed by. The time we get to think about the decisions we make in our life after the fact and look at our hindsight, which is always 20/20, we can see the decisions we made might have been the right ones or the wrong ones. I did learn electrical. As a matter of fact, from the guy on a job site, I learned how it worked. I can wire up panels now. I install outlets, fans, recessed lighting, you name it. But had I went that route, the big banners I see in front of the new casinos or new projects throughout the city, the electricians are the first ones there and the last ones to leave. Oops, it is what it is. I'm still happy with my life. The coolest things I've gotten to do as a low voltage contractor is work with some of the best known celebrities in the business. I had a project where a client had a very long, probably like 3rd-mile long driveway that wrapped and winded and twisted through some foliage, and it looked like Jurassic Park. Oh yeah, and they had a 25-foot gate that opened, and they wanted me to install speakers so that each time someone came through the gate and they opened, the Jurassic Park theme would play. I think that was one of my most fun projects ever. I've always been a guy that would just say, yeah, I'll figure it out. She asked if I could do it. I just said yes. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I figured it out, and it worked out. The bummer about that job is they had neighbors where the gatehouse was. This was in Beverly Hills post office, and every time the gate opened and that song would play at theater quality, the dogs would go wild. So they only got to use the gate for 2 or 3 days before they ultimately turned it off. But it was a fun project. I got some videos. I felt accomplished. It was fun. Life is fun, but sometimes life throws you curveballs. Question is, are you going to swing at those curveballs? Are you going to show up when it's difficult, when it's so easy to say, I'm just gonna stay home. You know, it's cold outside. It's raining outside. I feel a little sick. I feel very sick. Are you going to show up? Your future really, really depends on it. I'm learning that right now. I'm learning that every single day. You know, the best version of me is just right around the corner. You know, 5 months came and went. I still remember the first day I started up on this. The first day that I made the decision to make a change. It's one of the best days of my life because I have actually stayed consistent. I've actually showed up for myself for the last 150 days in a row. That is something that we can look back on, and I can be proud of myself for it. That in itself is an accomplishment. I'll tell you what, if you can stack wins like that, just day by day, imagine how much your life will change. If you are out of shape, if you don't like the image you see in the mirror, I need you to remember something. That did not all happen at one time. That was the result of a couple of slices of Costco pizza at a trip to Costco, repeated, ordering out junk food instead of eating something good for you, time after time after time. That was a late night pint of Ben and Jerry's that you ate, that I ate, sometimes 1.5, and then I flip the packaging to the side, and I'm just disgusted because I see it's a 1,400 calorie pint. I wonder what it's doing to my insides. I can't see them. I don't feel the greatest. It stacks up over time, waking up with the feeling of acid in your throat and coughing and drinking water, but it just won't go away. And now you think you're subject to a life of Tums and Rolaids, not realizing that just a few small changes will put you right back on track. I want the best for me, but I also want you to want the best for you. But only you can want that. The best part about this journey is it requires me to show up for me. When is enough enough? You may have that moment, you may not. But you don't have to let someone else dictate whether or not you work on yourself and become the best version that you can be. So if you made it this far in the video, I'd like you to leave the word best in the comment section. You know, and if you have a little story, please feel free to post it. I like to hear from you guys. And while I can still respond, I would love to be able to. I just crossed a milestone of 500 subscribers, which 30 days ago I didn't think was going to happen ever. But I just showed up. And showed up and showed up. And I will continue to keep showing up because it is a commitment that I made to myself. You'll see it when it's difficult. You'll see it when it's easy. But I will show up. I want to thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. It truly means the world to me to have people that are like-minded following my journey. And I hope you're on a journey of your own. And if you are, please let me know. I would love to rock with you and help you. I'm just 155 days ahead of you, maybe even less. But if there's something I can help you avoid, an obstacle, a distraction, a difficulty, I'd love to be that guy. Until next time, I'm Brandon Alexander.